Let's fly again. So this AA emplacements, I think they can target you when you are under at least 40 meters or 35 meters, and then they can see you, which is pretty much the same altitude that you have to use in order to target the ground units. See, you have to be that low in order to target ground units. Yeah, people should definitely not be building around this in the front of the hangars, because you need to be able to planes will need to be able to quickly get into the runways, especially for QRFs. And also to prevent most of the accidents, because a lot of planes is just dying by crashing onto this trenches built there. But you can basically defend this place by building defenses around. I'm guessing you need multiple regiments coordinating to build defenses, because this is a pretty large area to defend. Yeah, here multiple emplacements. Maybe here. This side is pretty. It's a pretty good place to drop paratroopers for partisan. Then this here, I think this will be a place for radars and black cannons. This place should be reserved for all the parking of planes. So this side parking, and this side should be almost free, so everyone that's unloading their aircrafts from the depot will be able to get to the runway quickly. Also, I think this place will be used for assembling the aircrafts, the large aircrafts. So these EMGs can only target, you can only see the targets at around 35 meters in altitude, but the black cannons has a range of 500 meters, and I've read somewhere that you have to use radars, the new large structure. I think it's called some sort of array. have to use the radar in order to spot the targets. And they said that the black cannons cannot be used for targeting smaller aircrafts like fighters, because they are pretty agile compared to the large aircrafts like bombers and paratroopers plane. This liquid container should not be here. It should be around here, around this place, and here. This one is an entrance, so maybe here. And then this whole area here should be reserved for parking of the airplanes. So scout planes, I think these planes can mostly be used for deception tactics. Like if you fly this plane in a group of 10 plus. Wait, let me climb. If you fly this plane in a group of 10, at least 10 aircrafts, and then the enemy will show this, you'll see this in the map with this icon, because like this is an aircraft icon. Then people might think that you are doing some kind of large scale operation like a bomber. I don't think the heavy bombers are considered a large aircraft, so that would be a good deception tactic, so you can mess up the queue or the front line by pulling all the veterans from defending the front line, and then they have to be doing some QRF to check things. This plane is just around 125 armats, so you can pretty easily spam them. But for logi disruption, I don't think so, because you can easily spam the EMGs as well, and the black cannons is not that expensive. And I'm guessing before the launch of the Airborne in the official first war with Airborne content, I'm guessing the devs will add some land vehicles for AA as well as AI. So right now the planes are too expensive, and I think the reasoning for that is because we don't have any AIs and a huge array of options for countering the planes. So in order to balance that, they should add some sort of AI and a few more, at least 1 or 2 land vehicles for anti-air. Then all should be good. The planes can be cheap, not as cheap that you can just spam them like EMGs, but more of like an outlaw or Sparta in terms of cost, maybe a bit higher than that. But the large airplanes like the light and heavy bombers and paratroopers should cause rare allies as well. Still, fighters, torpedo bombers, fighters should cause around outlaw and Sparta, and then the torpedo bombers and the dive bombers should cause around maybe a bit higher than BT, a battle tank, because they can pretty much do some devastating damage against large structures and large vehicles like ships and SCs. So I'm just practicing the landings. This side should be a gate. Maybe this area needs to be extended. Oh no, this just feels limited because they built some trench here, but they should be building some gates here, then defenses, garrisons around, not this thing. Well, I'm guessing this is just the branch hall. This is fine for now, but definitely we should not be placing anything around the runways. Press space. Voice bug is still there. See? If you ever get bored of flying the aircrafts, I'm guessing you will be after multiple times, then you can do some ground crew work like this, because planes uses a lot of fuel. Also, this thing, you need a large payload, large item to load it, and you need some machine gun ammo, and you cannot enter the plane while carrying any items, so you need someone else to replenish your ammo or your armament, so you don't have to go down your plane while after you landed. You can let someone else do that for you, maybe even repairs. This area is pretty vulnerable from tanks. $7 is pretty low, but not that low. Just around the height of watchtowers, so you can land on the roads See? I'm not so sure with fighters and other aircrafts because we don't have any materials for that right now. Okay, let's test for landing at the sea. Let me do a quick turn. What is happening? So it's automatically pulling your landing gears up when you're on the sea, even though your landing gears are down. What is that? Is that mines? Okay, I'm gonna try to avoid that because I'm not sure if that will damage our plane. Let's go up. So it's automatic, the landing gear when you're on the sea. Just have to bring it down and you're all good. I'm gonna try flying under that thing, that one. Let's see if we can do this. Too low. Need to get back to the airfield. I'm running out of fuel. It should be possible, but it's pretty challenging. Altitude. Let's do a quick turn because the liquid container is right there. Yeah, that's smooth. Getting the hang of it. Takes some skill, but once you adjusted to the bindings of the controls, then it's pretty easy. Someone's building another plane. So far, I was able to build two of these scout planes. One has died from the pits, and now I'm just using this thing. This one hasn't crashed once yet. Hopefully it stays that way. landing gear is pretty much distinct. Where's that guy going? What are you doing there? Where is he going? It's like doing some off-road logi. So if you see some guy like that, hey, how are you, bro? Psst, psst, psst. Hello. So Peld regiment managed to make some scouts. Imagine you need a whole regiment. This one is a pretty big regiment just to make 12 scouts. But this is the branch, and lots of players are competing for the comp mines and comp builds. So that's one thing to think of. There are some people arguing about the asymmetry between the scout planes and the scout planes of wardens and the collies, because for the warden side you can drop 2 times mini torpedoes. For the collie side you can drop surface mines, which deals heavy explosives. I'm not sure about the damage numbers yet, but I think the mini torpedoes definitely need some adjustments in terms of damage values, because right now you can use this plane to easily destroy most of the small and medium boats, including the new ones. One thing that devs need to change is this line below the airplane. It should not be visible for enemy players, because when you're in the fog, this fog is not that heavy, but when you're in a heavy fog and the visibility is really like you have zero visibility, you can still see the enemy highlights, this height line. So that's like some kind of cheat you can use to predict where's the enemy, then you can shoot them. So Deb should remove that, and then add a toggle in the settings to turn this off or on, because me personally, I don't need this. This is enough. The altitude meter, I can just track my airplane with this number here. I figure it out. The 54 is lower number here. It's the difference between the ground and your airplane. And the upper number, that's how high you are. So it's right now it's saying 17 meters because we are above the sea level. So see, we're above the sea level because we are basically on the higher terrain. Okay. You can take off from a pretty short range of the runway. I'm guessing that devs did that so the collies will be able to take off and land from the aircraft carriers. Because if you need a whole lot of runway to do that, then the aircraft carriers in its current model will not work. So it's not much of a big problem. It's not much of a big issue for me. I actually kinda like it because this is dev branch, and in a live war, if you have to take up a whole lot of the runway just to take off, that's gonna be a big problem because many players will be needing to take off, especially in QRFs. So plane costs. A lot of people, the majority of the player base, are complaining about the ridiculous production cost of these things. Scout planes, for me, I think it's fine for now. Devs can adjust this if this is too cheap. The armaments need adjustment. The payloads, the mini torps, and the surface mines. Because right now you can see from the chat that you can pretty much destroy a dry dock with just 4 of these, with 4 scout planes. Aircrafts, like I said earlier, it needs to be, the fighters needs to be a bit higher in production cost than Outlaws and Spatas, just to compensate for the ability of the planes to do an unobstructed traversal of this airspace. But again, this is a dev branch, so you don't see many defenses for anti-air. If the costs of these aircrafts, the fighters, the large bombers, torpedo bombers, and light bombers stays the same, then I can 100% guarantee that Wardens will lose all the wars from now if the aircraft's production cost stays the same. Because think about it, the Warden culture is to defend against the collies. See? Early wars, most of the time, will have around 14 to 16 of captured victory points, which means those are the important hexes, especially this. and most of those hexes have salvage fields, which is where you get the rare metals. If by some wait, let me review well. Okay, so salvage fields, that's where you can get the rare metals, and you can see the positions of the airfields. See, most of them will be on the attacker's position, like this one, this one, this one, especially the Deadlands. Here, we all know that police will almost take this place immediately, as well this treasury, and here and here. You can see all the airfields will be on the college side, and this airfield here will be the only place we can use for defending the place for against the push of the college. Let me take off. And I've checked the tech tree. You can get the scout plane once in the same tier, I think, with what do you call this, half tracks, I think. At least the tanket tech level. Then you can get the fighter when the debits are tech. So if Collis gets most of the regions and they were able to farm rare metals from the salvage fields, they will mostly get the advantage of the what the fuck, I almost crashed. They will almost get the advantage for the production time, because planes takes 18 hours to produce, just the airframes, huh? That's not including the modular parts. So if they get that, the wardens will be having to chase the production demand for the airplanes. We won't have any time to produce those. It needs 18 hours to produce just one, and for the large pod upgrade for making the airframes, it needs a lot of rare alloys. I think it's around 200 rare alloys. So definitely Collis will be having the advantage for this patch if the prices stays the same. There's no way we can come back from that, so I can 100% guarantee that we will lose the war if the prices stays the same, and the prices is cost the rare alloys for fighters and dive bombers and torpedo bombers. So rare alloys should only be used for the large structures and large vehicles like the bombers and paratroopers, and The pilot uniforms don't have to be produced with the rare alloys. 200 beacons per one crate of times 10 uniforms should be enough, more than enough actually, to make it expensive and valuable. So yeah, the scout planes, aircrafts, the fighters, and the small bombers should be around the same production cost as the assault tanks and the battle tanks. So most people are comparing the planes with the battle tanks and the ships, the large ships, especially the landing, the long hawks, and the brigs and DDs, which they should not be, because those things requires or can accommodate a lot of people. At least 20 people is needed for the, maybe 15 for the crewing of those ships. So you can't really justify the production cost of these things by comparing them to the ships and battle tanks, because in battle tanks you can just pretty much switch players on the ground, but with the planes, once they take off, you cannot do that, especially when you're in the enemy lines, behind the enemy lines. Like if you're using light bombers or paratroopers, you can just switch with another player from your regiment. So most of the time, if the prices stays the same, then only the members of the large regiments, the ones who are in the top authorities, will be able to use these things. The ones who are new to the regiments will have to spend a lot of their personal time gathering the materials just for a few players to be able to access this content, which is not really healthy for this game. It's actually very toxic if that happens. Because these planes, you can just crew them with 1 to 4 players max. And I think a normal bombing run should consist of at least 3 light or heavy bombers and a few maybe 10 plus escort of fighter planes, maybe a few dive bombers. That should be the ideal fleet for this airborne content. Because in current landing invasion, you need a battleship, a long hook, maybe not a battleship. You can just use at least one or two brigs or DDs. Then you need a long hook for the invasion, and then you also need some gunboats to protect you against other gunboats. And if you total everything, every player that will be participating in that operation, the landing invasion, you'd need at least 80 to 100 players to maintain that, to maintain the offensive of the landing invasion. But for the airplanes, if the current prices stays the same, then you just need 10. No, you don't need 10. You will be forced to just use 10 people to man the airplanes for the operation, because the prices are way too high. Boom. Yeah, I got used to the landing now. So yeah, you should need at least 50 to 80 players per a bombing run, so everyone should be able to participate in that thing, especially the randoms. A lot of people will argue that you can man battle tanks operation with just few people, but they don't consider the randoms that will protect their flanks from sticky rushes, as well as flanking enemy tank lines. They don't consider that, and a lot of people are expecting that you'll be able to get into the enemy backlines with just a few bombers without escorts, which is definitely should not happen. You have to bring some escorts with you in order to do that. Which will be good as well for the players, because you can just call for randoms and casuals in the word chat, like, hey, we're gonna do some bombing runs over this 6, we need some fighters to escort us. Then a lot of randoms will just come with you with their fighters that should be as cheap as an assault tank like Outlaw or Spatak. Can just call for that, and then they will come to your aid, escort you to the backline hexes, and that will allow the inclusion of a lot more players rather than just a few people in the regiments to be able to access this content. So one of the things that will have to change if we're going to include more people in these bombing runs should be increasing the fuel capacity of these planes. Scout plane, maybe just a bit more. Should be at least 10 minutes of flying time. That should be enough, considering this is a flying vehicle, and this will do a lot of contribution with the intelligence gathering as well as for deception tactics. So 10 minutes should be enough. You can fly with around 2 hex for that. And then the aircrafts, the fighters, should have maybe 3 times of this, because they will be doing a lot of dogfights to protect the light bombers. And then the light bombers and paratroopers should have a large capacity for their fuel. And then I think the dev should add in an item which is called drop tanks, which is basically some kind of containers under the airplanes that contains additional fuel. That bastard is shooting at me. What? He's shooting the airplane. Shit. Oh, he crashed. These guys are saying that scout planes will be spammed too much. I think their perception of that is just because we have a severe lack of anti-air right now. We don't even have AI for anti-air. We only have medium boats to counter these things, and some emplacements. If the devs include some land vehicles for anti-air and AI, then everything should be balanced. These things will not be spammed that much. Because take note, for example, the ACs and the ACs, just the ACs, they are pretty much very cheap. You can easily spam them, but people don't do that because they know that they're gonna be killed if they ever get into the front line, especially with heavier weapons like light tanks and tankettes. So the argument for these things being spammed much because they are way too cheap is not really making sense to me. We just need to implement some sort of additional anti-air options in order to... Hey, how are you, brother? The Jolly Arborist. See, if you can have a lot of players doing some formations like this, like around 15 to 20, that will that will be a much more that will result to a much more fun gameplay than just having a few aircrafts or a few select people that who are mostly in the higher authority in the large regiments. How much is the liquid containers now? Yeah, we're still good. Gonna do some fuel runs later. See, if you fly the airplanes, then you gotta have to do some ground crew work just as a payment for the privilege to fly in the air. You have to do that thing as well. A lot of players are arguing that this game is about teamwork, but their concept of teamwork is really, to me personally, it's wrong, because teamwork is not about forcing people to work together. That's like a communist or socialist view of teamwork. Imagine in North Korea, you'll be forced to slave in the coal mines so you can provide the people energy for their production, because you know, coals are used to burn stuff and generate electricity. Imagine the comparison for that with this game. Like you are being forced to work with people like that. Teamwork should be about making a choice to cooperate with another player. Everyone should have freedom, whether they want to. People should be cooperating because it's their choice, because they choose to do that, not because they are forced. See, even if I'm not in any regiment, I can still help the community by making some fuel runs and then helping players. What the heck, someone crashed. Helping the other pilots rearm their aircrafts. That's how teamwork should be, not those concept of working together in a coal mine to provide energy for everyone. That's a communist or socialist view of teamwork. See, players should have a freedom to join a large-scale operation. Imagine this whole runway is full of these things. That would be a much more funner gameplay than just having a few of them around the runway. Balance should be about the firepower and the destructive abilities of this new weapons, and it should not be about the cost of these things. It should be about what counters them and what's their base ability to do some destructive elements to enemy faction. See, I'm just flying for around 1 hour now, and I'm getting bored already. And I think I'm gonna have to store this now with the depot, in the depot, and do some fuel runs for other players to try, as well as some BMOds for repairing the aircrafts. And that's what I'm gonna do now. So I'm kinda nailing the landing now. It's not that hard now. You need 25% throttle to move in the runway, and then once you are moving, you can just throttle down to 10% or 5%, then you can move around. But for this, you need to constantly adjust the throttle so you can move your aircraft, because this thing limits your speed. Shit, it should be here, not there. So yeah, that should be it for now. I hope you enjoyed my yapping, and I hope you taken some viewpoints of why should the airplanes should not cost this much, and the reasoning for that. And I'm gonna see you soon, guys. Bye.